Okay, so I'm into the goddess temple in Silo Park, where Yvonne and Yvette and Andrew set up the integrative healing experience. It's about 3 weeks gone now since I was there, and I was there for 6 days and was deeply activated and deeply initiated into mystery school work through the high priestesses Yvonne and Yvette. The activations were massive in so many ways. I've had the time to integrate from those activations, but I had one activation, one integration, one experience that I had there that's stuck with me, and it was so prescient for me when I got the download, and I really want to make a video about it because it's important to me to actually talk about this. I have talked about this before, but I think what I'm going to talk about it now, it's very refreshing for me because I'm rehashing an old concept, an old idea, and I got questions around the nature of this experience, right? Like anyone else has. I'm not telling people how to live their lives. I'm not telling women how their bodies operate. I'm not telling men how their bodies operate either. But I am saying this is my experience that I had when I was at the temple. I drove up there one day and I was at the temple space, and Yvette had said to me that some people were coming into the temple space that didn't have the energy, the alignment of being in the space, and their presence in the space was distorting the field, was distorting the energy, that grid lines that the high priestesses had anchored down in the temple, because they weren't coming in there into the temple with the reverence, the adoration, with the wellness and the actual respect and the sacredness of the experience, right? They weren't coming into the temple space at all with any of these. It's like when you walk into a temple, you're not going there to take selfies. Like you're traveling to a temple, some part of the world, and you're going to take a selfie of yourself because you're just there as a tourist. It's, she said to me that's what people do when they go to play. She's taken tours all over the world. Yvette is taking tours all over the world, and she says you see people come into Luxor in Egypt, or Abydos, or the Giza Plateau, and taking selfies of themselves in front of the pyramids. And I get it, man. I get it. That's what your buzz is. But coming into a temple space, people have lost the reverence and the sense of sacred responsibility, what it means to actually come into a space like that. We've lost it, and it's micro. The macro is that we've lost the remembrance. People, at least in the West, I guess, in some level, in society, have lost our way in regards to remembering what a temple space actually is and how we approach that. You don't go into a temple space completely distorted, your energy distorted. You don't go in there, you don't enter into it, because the spirits, devas and deities, the energies of that place can feel your distortion. And when they enter into that, when you enter into that space and have that distorted field, it distorts the fragments and it frags and distorts the actual codings in the temple space, and that beings in the temple space get pissed off because you've come into the space without that reference, without that devotion, without that ability to come in there with that clarity and the ability to come into that space knowing that you're deeply reverent when you're in the space. And I was like, shit. When she told me this, I realized that it was the case, because when I was there at the temple space myself, one day I walked in there in the afternoon. I walked in there, and there's a woman who looked like she was possessed. And I mean that not in a horrible way, but it's the way that she was conducting herself. She was hissing at me. She walked past me up the ramp to go into the temple, and she fucking hissed at me as she walked past me. And I was like, okay, yep, something not quite right here. And she walked up the ramp into the temple space, turned around, did a 180 and walked straight out again. And I looked at her and I thought right away, holy shit, what we have here is a situation where if someone's, and this is my perception, when people are very dark, in a very dark place, they're drawn to the light. They're drawn to the light. And if you've got possession, you've got lower astral attachments or entities attached to you, or you're possessed, you're still drawn to that light. It's like a moth to the flame. When you get too close to it, it's too hot, you've got to leave right away. And that's what happened. And Yvette might not have been referring to that experience, but what I felt and heard from her was that this nature of this situation where the energies are coming into the temple space and they're distorting the energies in the space by bringing that energy in there and not realizing they're coming in there for a healing. They're coming in there with that darkness, with that lack of gnosis, knowledge around the nature of being in a temple space. It defrags and it fucks with the codings in the temple that are coming in for those people who are wanting to be in there, to be activated, to be initiated, and it distorts it. And she's seen it all over the world. And I was like, fuck, crazy. And then for me the penny dropped. Macro, the temple space, and then the micro being the woman, because it's a goddess temple, a woman's most sacred place in her body. And I was 25 years old and I was in Byron Bay. Well, actually I was actually in Murwillumbah at my friend Rahm Adamedes' mother's place. She dropped in with me the day after my girlfriend at the time, Kirsten, and I had sex the night before. And she called me downstairs, and I told this story before, I'm pretty sure on video, but she called me downstairs and she said to me, do you know what you're doing? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, sex, do you know what you're doing? And I was like, fuck, I'm 25, man, I'm not a kid, I just know what I'm doing. And she's like, no. Let me explain something to you. The most sacred part of a woman's body is her womb, is her uterus. That's her temple space. Is her womb. All her power originates in her womb. She carries a child in there. It gestates in there for 9 months before it's born into the world. This is the most powerful part of a woman's body, and it completely blew me away. There's a guy over there, a paddock over there behind my van looking for mushrooms, magic ones. I can totally see what he's up to. Classic. Anyway, so a woman's, and this is what she told me, and it sunk in like instantaneously. A woman's womb is the most sacred place in her body. If you don't enter into that space, she told me, with reverence, with love, adoration, respect, and you're not clear, and you put your energy into that woman's body through penetration, you're distorting that field. You're polluting it. It's a violation of her most sacred space. And to most women, that might sound ridiculous, but to me, for me, it sunk in. The actual experience of being at the temple space and knowing that knowledge, it came together in that moment. And I was like, holy shit, macro temple, micro woman's womb, uterus. And for me, it's like it's a no-brainer. I could never go back. I could never ever enter into a woman's temple. And there's 3 gates to a woman's temple for me. There's 3 gates that you have to go through for me in order to get to a woman's innermost sanctum temple. And those 3 entrances for me are 3 pleasurable entrances, but also 3 temple spaces, 3 porticos: clitoral, vaginal, and cervical orgasms. And then, and only then, will I enter because that to me is attention, devotion, and adoration. Those are the 3 forces that motivate me to have that experience with a woman. If I'm going to activate her in that way, through my attentive, loving, love-making, and my adoration, my respect and love for a woman, that's how I will enter into her uterus, my penis. It might sound crazy and ridiculous and absolutely mad, but to me it makes perfect fucking sense. And in that moment, I had that whoa. So me and Yvette had to talk about that. She's like, yeah, it's exactly how it is. It's macro, micro. Once you understand that far, you come to a place where you've been initiated into the mystery school of what sexuality actually really is on this level. I'm like, holy shit. I can't go back. I'll never go back. I'll never go back to that place where I'm actually having sexual intercourse with a woman without entering through the 3 gates, the 4th gate, the 4th being the inner sanctum of her uterus with my penis, without activating or going through the first 3 gates with adoration, respect and love and reverence. Forget about it. I'm not interested. Too much respect for women, too much respect for their most sacred sites, temple spaces in their body. And that's how I look at women now. I have that deep reverence, but it's not like it's, for me, knowing this knowledge, this gnosis, and understanding it, it also resonates for me as well with the Mary Magdalene energy. The Mary Magdalene energy. That's what it comes down through as well. I feel as though Mary Magdalene's been a big part of my life for about almost 10 years. I wrote a book called United, the sequel to Entwine, and Mary Magdalene, I write about her in the first part of that book, the intro of the book, when I bring in the character Morvarid, when I bring her in, Mary Magdalene is the character, is the catalyst for bringing Morvarid into that story, because Morvarid and Mary Magdalene were friends, as Morvarid's an immortal in my book Entwine, United. Morvarid's an immortal, and Mary Magdalene, she met Mary Magdalene on the boat coming into France, way back when, and they were friends. They became very good friends. Mary Magdalene and Morvarid became very good friends. So Mary Magdalene's been in my life for about almost 10 years, or over 10 years actually. But this year I was initiated to a Mary Magdalene temple space. I was initiated into a Mary Magdalene High Priestess ritual with Boljana Kwan. Mary Magdalene came through Yvette when she channeled, when she asked to come through Yvette. I had my first initiation, my first event into the temple space at Solo Park. Mary Magdalene was channeled through Yvette, and Yvette goes into full trance mode. She doesn't remember who comes through her at all. But Mary Magdalene came in through Yvette. And when Mary Magdalene came through Yvette, I kid you not, I was sitting back and leaning back in my chair watching Yvette go into this trance space. Mary Magdalene leant forward through Yvette's body and leant right forward. Even though Yvette was still sitting back in her chair, I could see through my third eye, I could see Mary Magdalene's overlay moving and leaning into me about 1.5 foot away from my face, like literally leaning into me, talking to me. Blue shawl, white tunic, beautiful brown hair, ringlets brown hair, talking to me, quite Arabic looking, quite Middle Eastern looking, like Lebanese I'd suggest. That's why she looked like very Lebanese to me. Like some of my friends are Pharaohs from Dunedin, talking to me like this, speaking to me like that. I was just like, whoa, I could totally see it. And then when she left, Yvette said to me, who came through me? I said, Mary Magdalene. She's like, oh yeah, great. She's got a very strong connection to you. I said, yeah, I can totally tell. So for me, the sacred mysteries of the rites of sacred sexuality have come through Mary Magdalene. And that was part of my journey, experiencing this and knowing this, and being in a place where I understood this, the macro and micro. It's come through Mary Magdalene. And in my van, Golden Horse, there's a picture of Mary Magdalene above my visor on my driver's side. And I call her in. I call her in all the time. She's behind me as well on my driver's side too. I call her in and I ask her for her guidance and for her strength to move through my mind, body, spirit at this time. I really need her. And she's with me. I can totally feel her in a way that's subtle, but still there. I have a black rose from Boljana Queen with my triple cone organites on my driver's side, passenger side, which is a container which is also the black rose of Mary Magdalene as well. And I have in my pocket some Mary Magdalene vials that Boljana Queen gave me too. Boljana Kwan gave me. I can show you them actually. Why not? Alright, let's do that. I'll show you these are the vials of Mary Magdalene energy that Boljana gave me. I was at her temple space about a month ago now. So these are all the vials of the Mary Magdalene energy. This is the latest one. It hasn't come in yet from Antarctica. This energy is coming up from Antarctica according to Boljana Kwan. From Boljana Kwan, this energy is coming up from Antarctica. And these crystals, I'll show you the first three. These energies of Mary Magdalene have been anchored into the world, onto our planet according to her work. Now to me it feels like aura soma work due to the nature of the crystals and the liquids in the crystals, liquid crystal. So this is Mary Magdalene's energy coming through the crystals from Antarctica up into our rest of our planet. Those energies are already here, and this crystal is coming in now. And I carry these around with me wherever I go. Trippy as. Look at that. This is the energy coming in now. And Mary came through Yvette when I was in the temple space. And I learned about this, and I understood the initiation, through the initiation of the macro, micro in regards to the temple space. And that's just my experience. I'm not telling anyone, women especially, out of how their energy, what their bodies are like and what their bodies do. I'm just saying that's my experience. That's how I approach sexuality in that sacred sense moving forward in my life. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. Matewa. I'll see you again soon.